Uganda, Rwanda, South Africa, Botswana, and Senegal. Eritrea, Ethiopia, Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, then under President Laurent Kabila, were among them. Ahead of the President Clinton's visit, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright proclaimed, I quote, "The era of the big man who comes to power, stays for life, and robs his country blind is over," unquote. Unfortunately, she spoke too soon. We now know that the era was not over. We also know that the fortunes of the countries that were seen to be shepherding the Renaissance have swung back and forth over the past several decades, and some are worse off today. In a number of cases, those who are lauded as a new generation of African leaders have become a new generation of African strongmen and tyrants. They preside over de facto one-party states that do not allow for self-government and have not established mechanisms for peaceful transfer of power. Without that guarantee, the growth we see in some of those countries today and the stability the authoritarian regimes seem to have enforced are sure to collapse at some stage, and those countries will have to begin afresh. Elections and democracy are failing in Africa, not because a majority of African voters prefer authoritarianism, non-democratic forms of government. It is happening because an organized elite, keen to protect narrow selfish interests, has forged strategic alliances and captured strategic systems and institutions of various nations with the sole purpose of subverting the substance of elections. In a number of countries, we are witnessing a situation in which the majority is increasingly at the mercy of the minority with regard to free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. Africans who wake up at dawn, stand in long queues all day to cast their ballot, end up with the results that indicate their voters were not counted and did not count. In the last decade, many of our nations have evolved modern systems for collection, coalition, transmission, and tallying of election results. Many have adopted result management systems that combine traditional vote counting and the use of technology to verify voter eligibility, register voters, and transmit results. In addition, we have seen the evolution of the electoral laws to allow representatives of political parties to independently tally the results and transmit to party tallying centers. But as we have witnessed in Kenya both in 2017 and 2022, technology is getting compromised and results altered. This has severely damaged the credibility of election management bodies in many of our countries. Let us cite an example. According to Gallup poll, 64% of Kenyans did not have the confidence in the honesty of elections as we prepared for the 2022 elections. Similarly, the Afrobarometer survey shows that 24% of Kenyans thought that the elections are not at all free and fair. A further 18% thought that elections may be free and fair, but there are major problems. Only 23% of Kenyans thought that elections are completely free and fair, as we headed to the polls. The Afrobarometer survey further showed that 31% of Kenyans did not trust our election management body, the IEBC, at all, and 23% trusted it only a little. Only 19% trusted the IEBC a lot. According to the Gallup poll, the percentage of Kenyans who have confidence in the honesty of elections declined from 58% in 2015 to only 35% in 2021. I believe the picture is pretty much the same in many African countries. Existing electoral laws are not seen to assemble an electoral system that the people believe is transparent, accountable, and democratic. There is therefore need for further reforms to make the voting process more accessible and reliable, enhance protections against mistakes, irregularity, confusion, and fraud. There is need to rethink the use of technology. Either we adopt a reliable election technology, including voting machines, and generate a voter verifiable audit trail, so voters can confirm that their choices are being recorded accurately, or we go fully manual. In Kenya, the Supreme Court ruled that the technology used by the IEBC in the 2022 election met the constitutional standards of integrity, verifiability, security, and transparency. It is unclear on what the objective criteria the Supreme Court arrived at this conclusion. There is also the question of centralization of election management. Do we need one big electoral body to manage our elections, or should election management be devolved to the states, the regions, or counties, as in the case of the United States? Should parties be allowed to second their members to the election management bodies? My answer to these two questions is yes. Here's my call to action. If Africa's elite autocrats are uniting against free and fair elections, Africa's democrats must also unite and defend democracy. We must build a continent-wide democracy coalition and look out for each other. The continent's democrats must treat the subversion of election anywhere on the continent as subversion of the people's will everywhere on the continent. It should be clear in the word and deed that whoever makes a move to ascend to power by means other than credible and constitutional elections is not only condemned, but subjected to sanctions and removal from such office. So far, the trend has been that an election malpractice that goes unpunished in one country provides a script for another country and then becomes the new normal. I will not go into details of my own country, Kenya, and the critics brewing there because of an election that was compromised in August last year. But Kenya's case must sound a warning to all. I am not a stranger to Nigeria. In fact, some other places they tell me that I'm a Nigerian. At one time I was arrested in Lagos when I was observing an election in 2003. And I was told, don't you know that today people are not supposed to be driving? The driver told him, I'm carrying an Oga. Then when they looked, there was, of course, we had a sticker. Then he came and looked at me and said, who, you? I said, yes, I'm an observer. You are Nigerian? I said, no, I'm not a Nigerian. Come on, man, don't play around with us. You are Nigerian. Eventually, when I showed my passport, then I realized I was not a Nigerian. But I'm saying that Nigeria has gone through very trying moments in our history. I remember the struggle for independence. I remember Zik. I remember Awolo. Those were involved. The Sayeduna Sekoto. I remember Tafawa Balewa period. I remember the coming of Ironzi, the transition from civilian to military. I remember Yakub Gowon. And I remember General Murtala Mohammed. I remember, of course, Papa Basanjo. Then the first transition to civilian. Then came the Shagari period, first Babanginda, then the Butcher of Abuja, Nabi Salam. Then I was here in the campaign of 1999. I was with Baba Basanjo and Falai, professor. I traveled around the country. I was here in Abuja, Nasarawa, Jos, Kano, Enugu, Anambra, down Port Harcourt. I was in Lagos, of course. I was in Beokuta, in Ibadan. So I know Nigeria. I know Nigeria. Know the issues of elections in Nigeria. And I was observing the elections in Lagos when you had Tinubu and his other competitor. I was an observer of NDI-IRI team. So I know the challenges that Nigeria has faced in this period of democratization process. There have been gains and losses. I know the challenges you faced when Obasanjo, Atiku, then Yaradua, then Jonathan, and of course now the final one. You now have this phase here. So I know the challenges that have been here. I know there's some gains and losses. But what we want to say is that we should continue on the path of progress. I know that there have been mistakes which have been done, but we say we don't want to live in the past. We want to move in the future. We want to look at what is coming forward for the continent. So I want to say in conclusion that if the continent democrats, together with the international community of democracies, do not come together and defend the vote, the elections and democracy will be delegitimized in Africa with devastating consequences. As you face these elections next month, which is tomorrow's month, in February, we really want to urge Nigerians to stand firm and ensure that the voice of the people is respected. As they say in Latin, that vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. We want to wish Nigeria all the best in these forthcoming elections. Thank you very much for listening to me.
We appreciate you indeed. Thank you. Demola Kasumu, MD Car Springs, Mr. Chris Finebone, Honorable Commissioner of Information and Rivers State, representing His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Lekon Abdul, MD Bond Global Energy, Mr. Yinka Dewole, Mr. Uchiene, and Bingo Lubajo. Thank you for your support. Boa Foods and CEO, Engineer Ayodele Abioye, and Executive Director Ishaku Rabiu, thank you very much. And Malam Irado Ibrahim, representing the National Coordinator of Presidential Support Committee. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Leadership Award has been on for years. And one characteristic of all of the people that has won this award reminds me of what the late Martin Luther King said. He said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets as Michelangelo painted, Beethoven composed music, and Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. And that's one trait amongst all of the award winners over the years. So what has this story been like? We have a short 5-minute documentary on the journey so far.
All this we owe both to ourselves and to the peoples of the world.
Leadership is not just about power or prestige. It's about the courage to chart a new course, to blaze new trails and inspire others to greatness. The Leadership Awards organization is dedicated to recognizing those who embody the spirit of leadership and are dedicated to making the world a better place.
I like to say this all the time. I was a housewife then. So I was looking at it from home, you know, looking at the different parts, how it was unfolding. The paper started, and quickly my husband decided that it was good to more or less acknowledge people in society that the paper felt were doing well.
We looked at what happens internationally, globally. You remember there's the Times Award that comes out also once in a year. So we felt that we could replicate that in Nigeria.
It started to evolve. The first time it was just, it was mentioned in the paper, you know, Person of the Year, Governors of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, you know, those types of things. And then it started to evolve into this event that we now have today.
The Leadership Award has become a gold standard because of the quality of the processes that are involved in choosing whoever emerges.
We are asking ourselves, what value in the year under consideration, what particular value has this person or this institution brought to the table? How have they been consequential in the affairs either of their community or the parastatal of government or the agency of government that they are in charge of? These are some of the things that we consider. At the end of the day, these nominees are put to vote. And usually the nominees that get the highest number of votes then get the award.
The society now looks up to it that any body that leadership is awarding must have really earned it.
A cleric, Imam Abdullahi Abubakar.
He jointly that year shared that award with the chairman, CEO of Dangote.
We were the first person to recognize him for 7 Christians.
What happened then was there were some folks who were running away from attacks from other groups. And this imam And of course, a number of those people who were running away at that time were obviously Christians, I think. But the Imam gave them shelter in his mosque. That was a very, very significant moment in the life of this award. And we thought at that time that it was important to send a message, not just to that particular community, but across the country, of the need for interfaith harmony.
We care about what we do. We care about the nation. We care about accountability of the people and the things that we're talking about.
That singular value of combining both a moment of reflection in terms of what we are doing, in terms of what we consider the defining issues of the time, with also awarding people that we found, people and institutions that we found have been outstanding, is one very outstanding value of the award.
Consistently doing this will, in one way or another, bring a little change in that little space, you know, in that little space that we are shining our light on, or shining our truth on, you know what I mean? So those are the three things I think. I think consistency, passion with which we execute our work, and integrity in doing our work as well. I think so.
So every year we do the very best we can to make the process more thorough, more transparent, more inclusive. And I do believe that by the grace of God, the next couple of years, we'll be celebrating it not just as the gold standard, but potentially as the platinum standard of awards in the country and in the world. It's going to be a global event. You watch.
We can use that event to truly show a side of leadership that is not seen every day. Our excellence, our love for Nigeria, our work, our unity, you know, our passion for everything that we do, displayed in that one event, if you know what I mean. That's what I'm hoping.
I take this moment to salute the great foresight, tenacity, and doggedness of your founder, late Sam Isaac, who positioned the leadership newspapers to what it is today. May his soul continue to rest in peace.
Development Bank. May the soul of the founder continue to rest in perfect peace. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. The award ceremony kicks off now. And the first award will be that of the Outstanding Young Person of the Year 2022. And he is Musa Sani.
Leadership Award 2022. Leadership Outstanding Young Person of the Year 2022. Musa Sani, for demonstrating ingenuity, which is rare in this part of the globe, by building a miniature prototype of Borno State first flyover at the tender age of 13, compelling the state governor to place him on instant scholarship. Musa Sani is the Leadership Outstanding Young Person of the Year 2022.
Lotus Bank.
Leadership Award 2022. Leadership Bank of the Year 2022. Lotus Bank, for its drive and impact on improving financial inclusion in Nigeria.